The stage is set for Sweden, and both of these teams vying for the top spot in Europe once we get there. Dignitas have been on an upwards trend through 3 regionals, and they look to put this at the end, an exclamation point, Turtle, on top of what has been an impressive run so far in the fall for Dig.
Absolutely, and they talked about it on the desk. If you know anything about Rocket League, if you follow like the esport at all, you know this is going to be one heck of a matchup. We've got Endpoint, who have, you know, similar to Dignitas, amped up their play style, amped up their performance, and they're both, I'd say, near peak performance at this point. However, Dignitas struggled a little bit more against Team Queso. Meanwhile, Endpoint, they just breezed through their series, and found their way into the semifinals. So we'll see what type of Dignitas defense we get and if it can hold up against that Endpoint.
The story for Endpoint's been a little more jagged. You know, they started out so well, taking the very first regional in Europe, and then they didn't even make it to top 8 in the second regional.
Yeah.
So Endpoint, a different road than Dignitas, but it definitely a little mini redemption story for Regional 3, because I think the question mark was in everybody's minds after the second regional. They were like, okay, well, how are you going to do now? Well, they've gotten to the semifinal, and Seiko, Metsunaris, Relating Wave, these guys have looked great this tournament.
Yeah, and while I'm not specifically sure what happened in that second regional event, it's very obvious why they bounced back, and that's because of their mental game, Jorby. It is seriously one of the best mental games in Rocket League at this point. They are so relaxed, they are so calm. We talked to the coach yesterday after their series win, and he just discussed that, you know, if a good goal goes in, you just wipe it off, shrug it off, and ignore it, and that's it. You just keep moving forward. And Endpoint, whenever they're faced with a challenge, if they don't overcome it right away, they don't get down on themselves, and they bounce back, and they've done just that in this regional event.
Seiko pushing this ball from midfield. Dignitas and Endpoint have been in lockstep for the first 2 minutes of the game. Neither team has really gotten into an advantageous position over the other yet. But Seiko does have a little bit of space, has the reset, got it on the delay, but apparently Jack, how about the season he's been having so far? Gives that over to Scrub Killer, open net.
Apparently Jack has been an absolute monster, and I'm not surprised to see him be the reason why they score first. Dignitas, it came off of a flip reset from our boy Jack that we were just talking about. Scrub Killer, an easy finish. And speaking about apparently Jack, I mean, not only is he scoring 7 goals in the series against Queso with 35% shooting accuracy, he's also getting around 14 demos. So he's physical on the field, he's clutch with his striking, and he's able to do a lot of work for this Dignitas roster.
He's actually tied for second in the tournament in demos. Seiko pushes the ball downfield. How about the star Frenchman for Endpoint?
Oh my goodness. I think he got a flip reset off of this as well. He was twirling around it, baited in that last defender. There were demos flying left and right, taking off the field. And you can see Seiko. We were discussing apparently, Jack, his impact on the field. Seiko's got those mechanics for Endpoint.
Endpoint, that one's coming right off the post and in. Apparently, Jack takes matters into his own hands here.
Yeah.
I do believe a demo happened as well to open up space.
Yeah, it's just an eye for an eye at this moment. You can see Scrub Killer, he crashed the net. Apparently, Jack took that ball right out of the hands of Endpoint, and with a quick turnaround and a demo play that's perfectly timed, that's going to be a Dignitas goal.
Metsunaris up for the next one. Jorias can play it back over to the corner. Dignitas, another quick 50 from Jorias. He's also looked really solid over the course of the fall. And especially in this tournament, he was lighting up the scoreboard and the highlights during the Swiss stage.
Yeah.
It's been a little grittier for Dignitas when they got to the bracket, but Jack turning in right here. Scrub Killer trying to get the bump. It's a good
Scrub
setup
Killer's
right
getting
now.
so aggressive too. I'm so used to Jack being that aggressor. I mean, 14 demos in the last series, and I believe in their series against Team Queso. In the Swiss stage, he was also getting 15 demos. Relating Wave, one of the star strikers that we did see yesterday, comes out here and he's firing hot.
This is very similar to the last play where Seiko just has a lot of free space to go on this low air dribble down past midfield, and he's able to get a flip reset.
Yeah.
This time it's not a goal, but he sets up the pass for Relating Wave with his mechanics again, and Seiko's finding these lanes in the middle of the field, right through the heart of Dignitas' rotation, and he's setting up these plays.
And that shows us just how effective that flip reset is, Jorby. It allows you to get an extra challenge and, you know, that unpredictability with your play. They don't know when you're going to use that flip, and Seiko, he's a master at disguising that and waiting to the last minute.
Jorias. You can't talk about mechanics. Well, I mean, apparently Jack, Jorias, Scrub Killer, all 1v1 gods in their own right. And there was a lot of questions around that. Would they be able to make that kind of roster work? So far, it's worked out pretty well. And yeah, there's been times where someone might have a question about a particular player's performance or another. But the point is, consistency is really key for Dignitas, and they've nailed that so far, trying to carry that ball out. Keep an endpoint.
Really found their stride.
Yeah.
You can tell that they're looking very solid in this first game. However, we're all tied up, Jorby. Who's going to get momentum early on? Who's going to bring that energy in the first game? Looks like Dignitas, they're lurking, waiting for that third goal, but nothing's coming out. The Endpoint defense holding in strong, and then a midfield pass right into the middle of that gap on Dignitas' defense, and it's the third one for Endpoint.
And this one just comes out beyond midfield. Jory is trying to rotate back, and he's just not able to get to it. It's another big gap in Dignitas' rotation. The Endpoint, they snipe it. This time it was Relating Wave setting up the pass.
It was so quick. They got down the field instantly, and then speaking of quick, here's one off the kickoff. Seiko almost put that one in, and they're applying pressure right out of the gates.
Scrub able to get the 50. Not pushing in front. Apparently Jack behind him. I had the carry, but Seiko pushes it to the side. Still Scrub. He's got the read. Feathers the boost. That's a great shot from Scrub.
And I believe Metanaris was getting messed with in net as he rotates back in. He got bumped from Jorias, and Meta was in the perfect spot to challenge that afterwards. And it's so clutch from Scrub Killer to also find the double tap. You got the perfect demo, which we've already seen before, and then the mechanics from Scrub. It's all tied up, Jorby.
Ooh, Seiko, big clear to Relating Wave, another counterattack, Endpoint on the box, and Metanaris can't put it on target, but he does get two of Dignitas to bite out of the box. Jorias protects the rock, and Dignitas sends us to overtime.
I want to see that again. I feel like Meta could have found that angle. I know it was going to be difficult. Almost ended it there before going into OT. Maybe a flipper said he could do it in OT, doesn't find it. Saved by Scrub Killer.
Seiko taking the 50 on the third, now back into the corner. Scrub Killer next up on defense. The touch out blocked by Relating Wave. Metanaris pass to him. Light shot on, taken away by Jorias, but Endpoint will continue. Well, Jorias just two big touches to get Dignitas out of a tough spot. Seiko trying to steal the ball back. And Endpoint had something good going on the orange half, but Jorias and company have stopped it flat.
We're just really worried, about this third man from Dignitas. And when he decides to go in, there was an early shot from Seiko from the far right corner. And I'm just getting a little bit scared. It seems like that third man from Dignitas does like to push up and be risky, which could obviously benefit them, but also be their downfall in an OT where you got to play safe against Endpoint, who are waiting to capitalize off of any mistake.
They have been pretty effective on those counterattacks. Scrub looking for a clear downfield. He's got no boost. Apparently Jack chasing the ball down the corner. Relating Wave cuts it out, and now Endpoint move back down the field. Relating Wave, ball taken away for now, but that's Seiko's. Seiko slips underneath. And there's just not really an angle for Endpoint to shoot at just yet, but they will continue to try here in the orange half.
Yeah, Endpoint, great ball movement to move down the field, utilizing each other on the passing. Here's a big shot here from apparently Jack. Goes for the ceiling touch, and then the follow-up shot doesn't connect because there was a defender in the way. Scrub Killer has to win that 50-50. He does, and they've got pressure to add.
Another good 50 from Seiko. A demo as well. Opens up the back door. Scrub Killer rotating back. Can't get there in time. And Seiko strikes again. His second goal to give Endpoint the first game win.
And I was worried about the third man, Jorby, and how much they extend forward for Dignitas. And Endpoint, they realized that and decided just to take him out. If they're overextending, it'll be that much easier to get a demo on the way back. That's exactly what Endpoint did. Opened up the shooting lane, and we've got another free shot for Endpoint just to dribble it in.
Endpoint just finding counterattacks early in that game, like Seiko having that much space down the middle of the field.
Yeah.
Now, Dignitas are as good as any team at being able to trap the ball and take it away from you and carry it themselves from wherever it is on the pitch. But Endpoint, we're just finding those little gaps and those little bumps and demos coming into effect for Endpoint. It was close though, Turtle. I mean, this is a high-scoring game. And a lot of Dignitas's games, I feel, have been high-scoring this tournament. You know, you look at some of the score lines, you see 5 goals multiple times, and the other team has scored like 3-4 goals on top of it. So it's like Dignitas's defense. What's going on?
Well, it's weird. I don't know, man. I'm a big fan of how the third man likes to be aggressive for Dig, but then it also creates this weird element where their defense can be very inconsistent. Sometimes it'll work out, like on instances where Dignitas will get a demo and somebody hits, a mechanical play. They always have that third man to come in and crash, and he's right there with that offense. But that means you can't get back in time. You've got to be scared a little bit. Have some respect for Endpoint, knowing that they can capitalize and move this ball down the field so quickly that if you're aggressive as that third man, it could be the death of you.
They've been able to shorten the pitch and create effective striking opportunities. And now Endpoint look to do just that again. Metanaris carrying it over Jack. He's got no boost left. Tried to get the bump and it will be cleared out. But this is another setup for Endpoint on offense. Dignitas gonna have to play in the corner for a little while, but Jack actually got a little bit of space, pops it out over one. Ground hop air dribble. Here comes Jack, and it's dropped down in front, taken away by Metanaris.
Oh my goodness. I think that might have actually gone in when it was originally just going to get off the backboard, but the touch worked out because Metza crashed the net and was able to take it away from Seiko, who was put in a very sticky situation. Somebody going for a bump, you've got to dodge the bump and also get a touch. Metza had his back.
Relating wave, while he loses to Jorias, it's a big win in midfield for Dig. And it dies, Scrub Killer. You got to be able to thwart any kind of approach from Endpoint.
Yeah.
Endpoint keep getting behind these touches, and Relating Wave almost snuck that ball in. Jory is having to avoid now Metanaris, who punches it over to the side, and now Scrub has to handle the wall, or the ball on the wall with no boost. Does so effectively with the challenge.
It does feel like we're still waiting on Relating Wave to step up a bit. And here comes Jorius to slot it into the top left corner. He got one opportunity, one shot, but he made it count.
Yeah, Mets actually couldn't grab that ball on the backboard. And it kicked right back down. Gave Jorius a sliver of an opening, but that's all he needs.
Yep. Very consistent striking from Dig. I mean, the defense, it's been difficult to deal with those transitions, from Endpoint. But every time they get one opportunity on offense, they're making it count, Jorby. It looks great with the striking.
Relating Wave, shot in front of the net. Right into Scrub Killer. Dignitas, good structure on defense. They boom another threat from Endpoint downfield.
Oh, double commit.
They do get the touch out to the side wall. They'll be able to recover, but Relating Wave is given a little bit of space, but it's immediately stopped, and Jack gets another clear.
Let's see how Endpoint decide to handle this pressure. An awkward touch and then a demo from Jack. The ball slid across the net. Nobody was there for it. And Jack's still just trying to harass the Endpoint defense, take their boost, go for some demos, wait for a mistake, and also try to force it with that physical play. But Endpoint, their defense, very solid right now. Only thing that slipped up was that shot into the corner from Jorius.
Nice bomb from Relating Wave back over to Dignitas' corner. Ooh, Jack deleted on the play, opens up a pass, Seiko back to Mets, denied by Scrub Killer. Jorius has to stay on the back line. And a lot of work done by Scrub and Jack there to get that ball to the third of Endpoint, but they just throw it right back, Turtle. And Dignitas' defense, as much as we've been critical of it, they've been looking very strong here on Forbidden Temple.
Absolutely. They have really buckled down, Jorby, in game number 2. And then going for a counterattack is Endpoint. This is all we've seen from Endpoint. One massive clear to the other side, and it was off of a 50-50. Scrub Killer, he's too aggressive as the third man, Jorby. He can't get back in time, and it's a free one for Endpoint.
I mean, how likely do you think it was that he thought that there was a chance that 50 was going to kick out like that? I mean, Seiko's at the perfect spot for it. That's pretty rough.
Oh, man.
But I absolutely agree with you. It's a microcosm of what we've been talking about with the issues on defense. But it's just funny that it took that kind of 50 for Endpoint to break through how Dignitas have been playing so far.
And at that point, I wouldn't even chalk that one down to the third man. You're right, Jorby. After looking at it, you could see the crazy 50-50. You shouldn't expect that, but it's almost, like you said, just an effect after what we've seen from that third man being a little bit too aggressive. Here's Scrub Killa, maybe a flip reset. And also the follow-up off the crossbar. I don't think he expected that bounce down.
It just skirted right across the goal line.
What on earth?
And Seiko gets a booming clear downfield. As good as it's been, it needs to be better for Dignitas. Jorius pops it over to Scrub Killa. Seiko squares up, gets a good 50. And he lets that one go for Relating Wave, and Endpoint stop Dignitas again.
It does feel like this is completely winnable from Dignitas, just because a lot of the goals we're seeing from Endpoint were off the counterattacks. But as soon as I say that, we see a fantastic onslaught of shots. Midfield passes, keeping the pressure on Endpoint, waiting for a defensive blunder, but we're not getting that from Dig.
Seiko stopping the counterattack in midfield. Another good touch from Seiko, forcing Dignitas to have to adjust their rotation. Almost every time he touches the ball, Seiko slips underneath. Scrub Killa actually on top of him on the 50. And no boost. He's punching the ball downfield again. There's been a lot of times where we were watching Scrub try to clear the ball. Dorius somehow gets the goal. How does this one slip in, Turtle?
This was all Relating Wave in the corner. He tried to control this ball and then went across, panicked, and went out for that clear when Metza had the save. That is a disaster on the defensive side. Relating Wave, the own goal.
Oh, rough stuff for Endpoint. Jack kicks this one up, and Dignitas will take it, but Endpoint, quick attack down the field. Metza on the backboard, and there is Seiko again. His name is called, and he answers for a tie game.
If there is a team to battle back from a mistake of that caliber, it's going to be Endpoint. They've got the mental game to do it, the strength to bounce back. They do it with a counterattack in the midfield, a doink up to the backboard. Seiko, the mechanical star from Endpoint, slots it. Maybe he could end it here. Seiko, are you kidding me?
Oh, it's so fun to watch Seiko play. Pops this one over, and it's just a quick 1-2 tapper. It's simple. Economical touches from Seiko, Turtle. Economical.
They just own goal. Do you understand this? We just saw an own goal. How are they winning? How are they winning?
Easy. If you can't score, just let the other team do it for you.
Okay.
Relating Wave puts it in. Forbidden Tap will take an Endpoint. It's okay.
Dorby, how is this an Endpoint win? Maybe I could see the tie.
Did you see that counterattack?
They're up by 2 goals. It doesn't matter about the counterattack here, Jorby. They own goal. I can't get over it.
Well, you're going to have to get used to it, Turtle, because Forbidden Temple belongs to Endpoint.
Oh, my goodness.
And Dignitas,
what on earth?
Still have yet to come out on top, now down 0-2 in the first series. And if Dignitas want that top spot, that top seed in Europe, the road just got a little longer to do so.
That is such an insane comeback from Endpoint. And I still want to talk about their mental game. I think that's the only reason they're able to pull off feats like this with that mental game, where you own goal, Jorby, and with how relaxed and happy Endpoint is, they don't care. But speaking about being relaxed, we're looking at Dignitas, who just called a timeout. They are not going to be relaxed, and they got to go back to the drawing board and figure out what's going wrong with their defense and figure out how to stop that Endpoint counterattack.
Honestly, that last counterattack from Endpoint, I thought was just, I thought it was just Endpoint outplaying Dignitas on that whole push. You had a perfect, Relating Wave had a perfect clear to Metzenaris, and really the most difficult part of the play is Metzenaris' touch, right?
Yeah.
He's got to get it over the defender, and also put it in a position where Seiko can get to it. So the touch was perfect off the backboard. And I mean, I don't know if you'd rather have anybody else on your team behind the ball than Seiko to shoot it on target. Well, and he nailed it. I thought they executed it perfectly.
The thing about that transition, too, is not only do you get the perfect touch from Metzenaris in the midfield, but you also have to have the speed from Seiko, because that was still a tough ball to get up to. Seiko, like you said, you don't want anybody else behind that ball if you're on Endpoint. He has the fastest speed, the best mechanics, by far, in my opinion at least, on Endpoint. He's going to be the star striker to finish that one and put it away. But then the thing that just gets me really messed up here, Jorby, for the Dignitas squadron is that kickoff goal where Seiko just skirted by with really close cheat up. Like, don't get me wrong, it was surprising for the Dignitas defense to handle, but somebody's got to be there and anticipating that speed off the kickoff as we look at the replays.
I do agree with you there, and the kickoff goal especially, I absolutely agree. But
and it was two kickoff goals. Okay. Look at this. It
right,
was just one touch.
You're right.
Around everybody.
I could see
from Dignitas. That's crazy.
That I absolutely agree with you. But Endpoint, their counterattacks have been lethal. And so my question to you, Turtle, is, is it really as simple for Dignitas as to just pull back a little bit on a lot of these plays? Because they do have a lot of brilliance on offense. And if they were a little looser on the rotation, would they be as magical on offense? That's
exactly. It's very, very difficult to say, because I like whenever that third man is being aggressive and you talk about loosening up their rotation to where it's a little bit more relaxed, it's farther back, it's more safe, as we could put it. And I think that would lose them a lot of firepower, a lot of star power on offense. But with how skilled each individual player is on Dignitas, I still think they would get and create opportunities themselves because of the 1v1 abilities they have, those mechanics from Abject, and maybe just wait out for a demo. If you're always aggressive with a third man, that's when it gets risky. But I would just pull it back a little bit and choose your battles a little bit more wisely here, Jorby.
Endpoint in a prime position to seek themselves in another European Grand Final.
But dare I remind you, Jorby, Dignitas went down 2 games in a row against Team Queso, and then I believe they won 3, and they battled back, and it was off of a 0-second goal that they were able to even get back into the series and prevent a match point. So if anything's possible here for Dignitas, it's 100% the fact that they can battle back and get into this series.
Scrub Killer playing this ball back into the corner. 50. Apparently Jack coming in on that rotation. He does get back to it, but it just may give Endpoint the ball and a chance at the net. And he's going to do just that. Metanoris' shot blocked. But we were just talking about that rotation from Dig. Apparently Jack cut in on that rotation, and now Endpoint have the ball. And they've gotten almost 3 shots out of it now in the first minute.
We'll see if that dies down a bit and they slow down the rotation, opting for a safer route. But here's Jorius. It gets past Metanaris, maybe off the backboard. A double tap into the midfield for Jack, but it was read beautifully by, I believe, Metanaris, who got a touch on it and stopped that counterattack.
Another pop-up high. Seiko gonna let that ball drop to him. In fact, this has been a war of, who can ground pop air dribble and 50 better than the other guy? Like, you see, apparently Jack is just, all right, I'm gonna air dribble 50.
Yeah.
Seiko, I'm gonna air dribble 50. Who's the better air dribble 50 or whatever you want to call it?
Or maybe a pinch? Talk about air dribbles, there was a pinch there all the way to the backboard. That would have been special from Dig. And the speed from Metanaris, very evident and apparent, because it wins that 50-50 and they're able to go back on offense.
And Seiko trying to square up that 50, but Jorius was all over him. Now in the corner, no boost, simple pass, and Jack decides to not take the 50. Scrub gets a nasty pinch in front of the box. Seiko pushes it out, and here come Endpoint's counter.
No way he
Relating
gets it
wave lets it drop for Mets. Mets right into the bumper of Scrub Killer. Seiko trying to push back a quick Dig counter, and I'll actually stay on offense. Metanaris, no boost. How does he handle that? In front, Seiko ends up pushing it back to the other side. So an interesting sequence there from Endpoint. Apparently Jack found Jorius, and they got him on the counter. Dignitas strike first.
And they do it with the counterattack. This is very Endpoint style, where they wait a lot on defense and then explode out of their own half with a dribble into the midfield. Jorius, a free cleanup, and they capitalize off the over-aggression from Endpoint.
One thing that is apparent for Dignitas is they'll always have to be wary of that Endpoint counter. Where is that third man positioned on these pushes?
Yeah.
Are they able to keep it locked down? Dignitas insurance is the best kind of defense, being up 2-0 for sure. But Metanaris and Seiko are going to push this ball out. They've been a consistent threat the other way. Seiko can't put it in. Jorius puts it back downfield.
There's a really good follow-up from Jorius to be in that position and to recover fast enough on defense to get that touch out. And I do believe that Dignitas, they're beating Endpoint at their own game at this moment. The defense holding strong, waiting for counterattacks. The only goal we've seen this entire game was the counterattack from Dignitas, and that's what I wanted to see them do, is turtle up a little bit more on the defensive side, be patient, and then explode out of your half with that 1v1 dribble. And then now you just got a minute and a half, waste the clock, wind it down, and you've got yourself a win. Obviously, it's a lot easier said than done. But with Jack doing crazy things in the air like this, it's surely possible.
You know, one thing, Turtle, I will say about Dignitas' defensive structure, just hang on a second, scrub kill on the air dribble, is they are absolutely willing to just let you pass the ball in midfield. They're very confident in their ability to take the ball away from you. But when you got Seiko on the other side, you got to make some diving stops like that. And that's the one risk we've been talking about. But when it works, they're so good at trapping that ball and creating quick counterattacks out of it. Like, apparently Jack especially has looked so solid in that respect. What a block from Scrub Killer, and Jorias will punch it back the other way. Dignitas holding on to that 1-goal lead. No touch from Seiko, relating wave. Loses against Scrub Killer. Metanaris, whole way back. Pass in front of relating wave.
No way.
Oh, he slowed it. Oh, what a shot from relating wave. Metanaris ensures a goal for Endpoint.
I thought we almost saw one of the most ridiculous saves. Jorias had to hit the brakes, reverse. He got the save. I think Jack was in position to get the pinch out, but that shot was just too powerful that even a touch that would save it wouldn't clear that ball, and we get a follow-up from Endpoint.
Relating Wave has just been phenomenal. Shooting 36% in this tournament. And with shots like that, you can see why he's 36%. That was just into the net. Scrub Killer finds his way to the back. And Dignitas all of a sudden on top.
All right, this. I'm getting the same vibes that we got in the last game, where it seems like Endpoint should be the ones who win, but then we get this insane play from the opposing team, Dignitas, the follow-up off the sidewall. That one just rolled in, Jorby.
My, oh my, this game loves to take different twists and turns.
I feel bad for the fans watching at home. I mean, like, imagine you're a supporter of Endpoint, and you see them score, and you're just getting hyped, and then all of a sudden you see that one go in from Dig, 10 seconds left.
Oh, they might get it. Oh, it's blocked by Scrub Killer. They both dive in front of the box, and while they double committed, the push may not be over. Jorias gets by one defender, pushes it over Seiko, and Jorias himself ends game number 3.
And they have started the comeback. They went down 2 games in a row in this series, but they're battling back. They do it with, I'd say, defensive prowess here in this game, Jorby. This was a much better hold from Dignitas while they slipped up towards the end. It was their first mistake. That's it. That's all we saw. And it was off of a fantastic shot from relating wave. So it's not too much to gripe on for Dignitas. Meanwhile, their counterattacks were flawless. The dribbles out. The defense was there. They were blocking a lot of shots. And man, I wish that Jorias got that save. Watching this again, I know. I mean,
so
technically he did get the save, but I wish there was a quicker follow-up from Jack. But that's just, there's almost no way that happens.
Well, I am... Yeah, I was just taking a quick pause there because Turtle, you needed to ready up, and now we're ready.
I'm sorry.
To get back into the next game. It's okay. It's okay.
I'm not trying to hold this back. Okay, I'm ready.
No, I know. I'm waiting to see if Dig can tie up this series. Apparently, Jack Jorias, especially at the end, was looking really solid despite the tough save that he couldn't make. I think he's been looking pretty strong. Scrub had 6 saves in that game and was absolutely clutch on the goal line for Dignitas.
Yeah. I loved Scrub's defense. Not only are we talking about those saves, but it felt like he was reading the play a lot better than any other game this series so far. He was getting in front of the shots really early on and also intercepting the midfield passes. Just being able to stop Endpoint from having some good looks on net. And there's Scrub Killer again. He raced back the hustle from Scrub to get in position and find a touch. That one barely wide from relating wave. Endpoint are knocking on the door within the first few seconds of this game.
What are some of these touches? Joria is actually going to get a clean look, and Seiko gets to that touch first. The Dignitas player, I believe it was Scrub, ended up helping give Endpoint the ball back, but Jorias, that's a good approach on the 50. Coming off the back wall and just blocking his approach instead of just trying to force the ball into a weird 50-50 scenario where you're not entirely sure how it's going to bounce. Love that kind of poise from Jorias on the back wall.
It's almost like the team that is stuck on defense the most here, Jorby, ends up winning. It's ridiculous because they get the most amount of counterattacks. We're seeing that here from Dignitas. The shots have got to be better. That one was a nice little ground bounce shot from Seiko, but it was right in the middle of the goalkeeper Scrub Killer.
Joria is swinging back around. Maybe there's something to that, Turtle. I don't know. Because you're right. Endpoint especially, we've seen the counters be lethal. Yeah. Dignitas obviously have done it to their own effect, so...
Right. It's almost like they'd rather be... They feel more comfortable stuck on their own goal line, forced to get these saves, because then it gives them that one opportunity to explode out of your own half if you have the boost and set up an easier shot rather than having to, slowly chip away at the defense, because that takes a lot of stamina, mental stamina especially.
Now maybe the field being a lot shorter on defense is comfortable for Dignitas, because they're so good at being able to roll the ball up the wall and take it out any which way you want to approach the, going downfield. But instead of just trying to win every 50 in midfield, beat the team with your pure mechanical ability. Yeah. Really, it's not pure mechanics. That's being disingenuous, because there's a lot of brain on this Dignitas roster. Jack pushing this one back, but the pinch goes back out to midfield.
And Jorius is forced to run back, but Scrub Killer got him in that rotation, cut in early and got a touch there. They're able to keep this offense moving forward. But with how this series has gone, if I see Dignitas on offense, I'm thinking that Endpoint are just going to end up getting a counterattack that goes all the way to the other side of the field with a quick redirect, and then boom, Dignitas are caught empty-handed.
Oh, apparently Jack, it's a little too fast for him to get back to, but Scrub has a free look, and he was expecting Jorius to be there on a pass. Whatever Scrub Killer was expecting, he didn't get it. Now he's playing defense back over to the wall. Relating Wave trying to cut off his approach. We are deadlocked. 3 minutes into this game, neither team able to get a goal.
And this game has flown by as Jack flies by on that challenge and wins it easily. Relating Wave is in position. A bit of a stalemate in the midfield, but that's so much space for Seiko. You remember what happened in the first game, Jorby? When you give Seiko some space, he might hit a flip reset on you, as that one narrowly missed from Endpoint, but they're still waiting and looking for that first goal.
Oh, Seiko! Oh! Seiko puts it in himself! This is absolutely brilliant from Seiko. Gets the perfect first touch. The second, then pulls back with the boost to stabilize his momentum, to make sure he stays behind the ball, keeps the finesse in front. That was S-tier stuff from Seiko.
3 touches from your boy Seiko to put it into the back of the net. Let that one glide in. It looked so smooth. Here he is again, maybe off the crossbar. Save from Jorius. Dignitas, they are in a sticky situation. They've got to find themselves and figure a way out of it.
Ball pushed back over to the corner. Endpoint. Starting to see the victory line. Put themselves on match point. But apparently Jack wins the big 50 against Wave. Seiko, he doesn't have to do any work. Dignitas tie themselves up on the back wall. And they're forced back over to the corner. Another good cutoff from Endpoint. They could use a clear soon, but a pass comes in front. Scrub Killer cuts it off, relating Wave back over to midfield, and apparently Jack cuts them off again. So Dignitas stay in the blue app. Seiko steps them back to the orange. Scrub Killer forced to make a save.
Remember what happened, though? As soon as we saw Endpoint look like they're gaining any form of traction the previous game, or Dignitas, were right there with a quick counterattack. Maybe this is the one we're waiting for. Jorius off the ceiling. Scrub Killer's looking for the bump, and Metza had to dodge the bump and still get the save. An incredible defensive showing from him.
Oh, and then the touchdown field pushes apparently Jack back. Scrub Killer ends up bumping into Jack. And the ball's just popped up. Seiko's there. Try to put it on target. Back over to the corner, Jorius. Flicks it over one. Here comes another attack from Dig. Cut off. And they just can't get by Metanaris. Seiko, another catch in midfield. Forces the 50 in front. Seiko wasting all that time off the clock for Dig. Apparently Jack one more clear down the field. May give Dignitas a chance, but Relating Wave makes sure they don't get one. Scrub Killer, high bounce. He's got Jorius.
Hold on.
Can they fall down on this? No. Endpoint do take the game. 3-1 in the series.
I'm sorry, I was getting a little too excited at that play because I saw Scrub Killer. He was free jumping, from the sidewall after getting the pass in the midfield, and he had enough boost to keep following it. If that ball, was able to bounce one more time, we might have seen a very high mechanical play go in for Dig. But regardless, that is an Endpoint win, and I think this is the first time, in my opinion, that I've seen a team here in this series have the majority of the offense and end up winning, because statistically speaking, game 2, Endpoint was in fact on their defensive half a little bit more and won. And then game 3, Dignitas was on their defensive half a lot more and still won. But this one had a different story, Jorby.
Endpoint, Turtle, 1 game away from another grand final appearance in Europe. Like, all questions about this team, their performance and what they're capable of in this region, all of those questions are answered. And as we had the Wasteland Night, Endpoint could keep Dignitas from that #1 seed. by unseating them here in the semifinal.
I mean, this is still ridiculous. I just got flashbacks to that own goal from Relating Wave and how they went down in that individual game. It looked like Dignitas were going to win and start gaining momentum a bit earlier on. But then no, it was Endpoint who battled back and won it. And then they hold strong in the previous game to get to match point. They deserve it. But Dignitas, of course, they have what it takes to match them in this regard.
Oh, Jack gonna take advantage of an Endpoint whiff off the back wall, and Dignitas will strike first.
And it was a huge win there on the 50-50. Jack with a dunk. He also stole the boost and then found the angle. Literally doing all of the offensive lifting himself. That's apparently Jack for you.
Dignitas have had the lead several times in the series, Turtle, and they haven't been able to hang on to it. We talk about, especially the first few games. That first one that was 3-3, sent to overtime in game 1.
Yeah.
And then Endpoint squeaked out of that with a victory. Game 2, which included the own goal that you're talking about, Endpoint still battled back and made it work to win the game. This team has been effective throughout the entire series.
Yeah.
Dignitas have really struggled to consistently find the back of the net.
I mean, the main thing is how do you make Endpoint uncomfortable with their mental strength and the fact that they don't get tilted easily? What's it going to take to put them in an awkward spot to make them either a little bit down on themselves and feel awkward on the pitch?
Ooh.
Or honestly just get tilted? It could be demos. I haven't seen too much, but now we are seeing that from Scrub Killer. Apparently, Jack, I know that he can be a menace on the field, getting several demos in a row. But is that enough to throw off Endpoint? Because so far we haven't seen too much that throws this team, for a whirl.
Yeah, Dignitas, in the game that they did take, it was that Dignitas style win, closing it down. A lot of pressure, good pass in front, and Scrub Killer finds the side. Now Dignitas do get out to a multi-goal lead, something that has been difficult in this series.
And it was a quick turn from Joris to stay in the offensive half. He didn't go for the backboard bounce, which was really smart. And then Scrub Killer able to put that one away into the upper left-hand corner. You said it yourself, Joby. A really nice touch.
Metzenaris catching this ball on the back wall. 50, but that's only for Jorias. Forces Relating Wave to make a play on the ball, but Relating Wave has nary not have made a play on the ball. Seiko, 1v2 basically, but Jack hits it down. Relating Wave looking for the bump, but not going to get it. Joria's downfield for Dignitas. And it's going to be stopped for now, but Dignitas do set up in midfield.
Quick counterattack there for Jack and Scrub Killer, who continues moving forward, but defensive Endpoint. It hasn't held strong throughout this game, but in that moment, they do hold strong. Still 2 goals to go for Endpoint. All 3 players actually jump for this ball. A very unusual moment for Endpoint, and we'll see how Dignitas decide to counterattack.
Jack got it over the third, forces it in front of the box, but Relating Wave gets there upon deletion. Scrub Killer trying to keep that ball away from Endpoint. He did so effectively. He got it to Jorius. That falls back down, past to Jack, and Jack snipes the side. And this was excellent work from Scrub Killer.
Yeah, the ball movement right here from Dignitas and from Scrub Killer on the rotation out to spot Jack moving forward to get a better shot. Scrub Killer was on the end of a beautiful midfield pass, but now he's the one dishing it out into the midfield.
Very dominant performance here from Dignitas. They have stopped a lot of these Endpoint attacks. There is the time to contend with still. They have to hold on to that lead for a while and keep preventing these pushes from Endpoint, which they have done so pretty effectively on Wasteland. Jory is his 50 out to the side. It looked like Metzenaris got a bump, and now Seiko downfield, almost found the net. Seiko does find the net. Just follows it the whole way through, and Endpoint are on the board.
And it was from Relating Wave and a monster clear. Apparently, Jack didn't get the touch he needed, though. That touch has got to be to the corner, Jorby. There are no excuses. It was difficult. He had to run back. But either way, you need to hit that one all the way into your own corner and stop giving those chances up to Endpoint.
It does let Endpoint sneak back into the game. 2 to score is manageable with just under 2 minutes. Seiko, he's sniped by apparently Jack, but it is cut off by Relating Wave.
Endpoint,
Seiko.
Looks like they've got energy, Jorby. This is scary.
The first goal is sometimes all it takes to re-energize an offense Metanaris on top of that tried to shake that ball off Dignitas. Seiko, not the best clear, but Metanaris made the most of it. Now Seiko, a little bit of space underneath. Pass in front of Relating Wave. Light shot turned by Scrub Killer. But you are seeing the Endpoint offense start to swarm. Relating Wave stealing that boost out. Letting Dignitas come down and having a free pass to Relating Wave back over to Mets. Mets had pre-jumped. Joria stole the ball, and that's a big goal for Joria's. Stopping or really putting a knife in things for Endpoint.
Oh, man. That is a huge read from Jorius. Look at how early he is to find that interception. He had that play read before it even happened. Got the cut and was able to capitalize and punish Endpoint for being too predictable. When they looked like they were gaining some momentum, Dignitas was right there to shut him back down.
Seiko. Pushed up here. Metanaris, first touch, second touch denied. Apparently, Jack, I think it hit the back end of his bumper on the way back to the net. Seiko, little bit of time and space to do something with the ball here, but Jack just feathers his boost the whole way down off the side wall. That just looked funny. Relating Wave punches that ball out. Jack cuts him out.
Oh, Jack.
These are the types of performances, Turtle, that Dignitas are capable of. They can definitely run away with a match. If they have full control like they do, they can really beat you in every way, and they have on Wasteland against Endpoint.
It still feels like Dig are playing a lot of defense, but they're comfortable with that because they're able to read the plays that Endpoint are going for. But even that play, it didn't look like it was possible to intercept it, but somehow Jorius found a way, got the save, and continues that 3-goal lead. Seiko, is it going to get followed up with a save? No, it's not. It does follow in, and Endpoint get one for the road.
I do think this is a switch of respect from Dignitas on this ball going in. I'm not sure Jorius. Oh, no, he did try to jump around and recover.
I mean, Jack started slowing down.
The angle I was looking at, I was like, oh, just let it go in. That was a great shot. We think we got this game.
You know, just give him something to make him feel good, Jorby. You want to give him overconfidence going to the next game if you're Dig, all right? It's a strategy.
Don't know if it's going to work for Dignitas, but they do get the game win. And moving on to game number 6, Turtle. Dignitas are in position to force game 7. And Endpoint really didn't have that same kind of lethality that we saw in the counterattacks previously in the series.
Yeah, and we do, in fact, get a timeout called for Endpoint, which kind of surprises me a little bit. I mean, I don't know, Jorby, if you think it's a little bit early, but it looks like, oh, it's team stretching time. Everybody get up, move your legs, get that blood flowing. It's time, Jorby. It's time.
Yep. Squeeze those hands, keep those hands warm.
Oh, yeah.
Stretch the legs, get the whole, get all your blood system, get it throughout your whole body.
Perfect form there, Metza. Look at Metza going for that stretch. You love to see it. And this always happened. This isn't the first time we've seen this from Endpoint. They are known for taking these breaks, taking these pauses to get up out of their chair, reset mentally, and then get back into the game. And it statistically, I believe it has worked pretty well for Endpoint.
Well, yeah, I mean, Endpoint at this point again, and always good to get up and get stretched, especially if Dignitas are threatening to send you to game 7. Always good to keep that mental as healthy as possible. Turtle, you talk about, you know, after the post-game interview with their coach and talking about the discipline of their mentality, being able to move on from big moments that happen against you and just being able to bear down and get to the next touch. I think that's crucial for any team that wants to be a champion in any game. And so Endpoint having that mentality, and when Dignitas, all smiles, all laughs.
That's what you want to see.
They're feeling pretty good, you know. You're in a great spot if you're Dignitas. This is really you're playing for the #1 seed. You've already gotten your spot to Sweden. So Scrub and company having a good time.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing you want to see from Dignitas in comparison to Endpoint is, you know, smiles. They might not be in the same room and able to get, you know, team stretches going, but at least you can crack a few jokes. But we're going to take a look at the replays, and you'll notice a lot of fantastic midfield passes from Dignitas. Whenever they were going up against Endpoint, it was really solid work to move that ball fluid into the midfield, Jorby, for a follow-up shot from Dig. And, you know, it was only a couple of chances. It's not like they stayed on offense too long, but they made it count.
Yeah, Endpoint now have to find a way to get that energy that they had in the first few games of the series where every counterattack was going their way. Dignitas haven't let it be as easy this time. The third man has definitely been a lot more difficult to get behind with that kind of dominance on the pitch. How do Endpoint respond as we head to Neo Tokyo? Your timeout's over.
Yeah.
No more break. Back to the
Hey, man.
ground, back of the wheels.
They're ready. They're hyped. They're amped, and they want to get back into this. They were able to get that mental break, that refresher, which is so important for any team, just to reset mentally and not get too down on yourselves. We'll see if that does actually benefit this Endpoint roster.
Seiko pushing the ball underneath. The start for Endpoint. Metanaris trying to cut apparently Jack off. He's had a couple of standout plays on his own in this series. He's going to push the ball here again. No boost left. Metanaris kicks it away from him. Metanaris kicks it away from a couple Dignitas attackers. Jorius lobs it up to Scrub Killer, taken away by Seiko.
Beautiful save to get in the way of Scrub Killer and also find the path of that shot into the goal line, making sure that you can at least keep this one 0-0 early on. But Endpoint, they're forced on defense within the first minute. Seiko, a nice backflip to get it around one player, but apparently Jack is right back in your face to continue this ball movement forward.
Good win again from Jorius in midfield. He's been at the center of everything, hasn't he, on this Dignitas push in this series. Apparently Jack taking it up on top, but it's pushed out to the side. Everyone contributing in different ways on Dignitas. Scrub Killer, a lot of defense for him. He's had a ton of saves. But Jorius winning some tough 50s and setting up plays like this. Scrub Killer back to Jack, but they can't put it on target. Jorius again cutting it off with no boost. Wanted to keep Endpoint locked in for as long as possible.
I do really like this from Dignitas. They're not getting too aggressive with their shots. They're coming close, and then eventually something will slip up for the Endpoint defense. They had so many shots, and then finally this slips in.
A lot of gritty challenges, too. A lot of, like, Jorius, he had pinched off both side walls eventually. Scrub Killer attempted a pass earlier to apparently Jack that kicked way wide. But because it went way wide, it forced all of Endpoint to, you know, hurry over to the ball.
Yeah.
But Jorius cuts them off again. And then, like you said, just push, and eventually you're going to knock over that Endpoint defense. It was a good push from Dignitas on that last sequence.
It just really feels like they've figured out when they need to be aggressive and when they should pull off. Like a lot of times, Jorius or apparently Jack will be extending forward, but that's it. It's just them up top. And sometimes that can be an issue for a team, but with how good these players are mechanically, one player should be enough to at least put on one difficult shot that Endpoint are forced to save. Like, look at Scrub Killer. He's alone here. He does have two teammates behind him playing safer, giving them that extra safety net. So in case Scrub Killer doesn't win that 1v1, somebody's there to keep the pressure, or at least get the save.
Another pass. This time it connects for Mets and Relating Wave. Seiko holding it down in midfield, but it was right to Jorius. Now Jack's already downfield. Metanaris uses a lot of boost to get to that 50. Jorius kicks this up high. Seiko comes up with a solid touch, but two commit from Endpoint, and Scrub Killer's given a chance. Back over to Jack. Nope, Metanaris gets there quickly and knocks the ball away. Jorius, another boomer. His last three touches have just been boomers to the backboard, and they've been responded each time with an Endpoint defense.
Yeah, still all tied up. Apparently Jack, a 1v1. Metza goes for the slower challenge and then tries to win the 50-50 afterwards, but doesn't even find a touch. Maybe something here from Dignitas. They're looking to set up something on offense, excuse me.
Another solid touch from Relating Wave. Forces Jack up, gets a touch off the backboard. Jorius puts back into the net, and Scrub Killer crashes down, but ends up own goaling. Metanaris on the forced error.
And I thought there was somebody else besides Scrub Killer who was in the net who could have gotten a save. It was Jorius. I don't think he would have reacted in time. He had to recover in the net. Man, that is a tricky one. So you don't blame Scrub Killer for going for it, but it does hurt to see an own goal like that one slip in from Dig.
Just one of those situations where you have to make a decision one way or the other. And you don't really know how it's going to turn out in the moment. You'll put your car behind it and hope for the best. Didn't really work out that time for Scrub.
And a fantastic turnaround for Endpoint. It looked like they were getting pinned in their own corner. And even when they moved on offense, it didn't look too good. But then all of a sudden, one counterattack, one opportunity, they make it count. Scrub Killer off the sidewall. Maybe he'll waste some time. Instead, it's met with a challenge from Relating Wave.
Endpoint with Seiko, another light shot. They might need some more heroics from Seiko to get ahead of Dignitas. The counterattack is deadly. Jorius puts it in the back.
And it's this dribble counterattack. One touch from apparently Jack into open space. The perfect first touch. And then a flick all the way to the side to set up Jorius. That play was a huge moment there, not only for apparently Jack, but also Joreuz to have that faith in his teammate to get that ball downfield to him.
Joreuz kicks that ball out. Can't find the read. He didn't have a lot of boost to do it. But he will steal the boost on his deletion. Scrub Killer up high. No boost. Can't find the touch, but apparently Jack scoops it up. Makes it awkward for Relating Wave, but a good recovery on the backboard. Relating Wave does give Seiko and Mets a chance to break out. Seiko on an initial mistouch, back over to Relating Wave, cut off by Scrub Killer, and Dignitas again thwart Endpoint on their breakout.
Scrub Killer so smart as that third man, knowing where Seiko was trying to get that pass over to Metza, put himself in between them, but he's got a Seiko 1v1 play to deal with. Scrub Killer, he's looked great on defense, but I don't know if anybody's saving this.
Look at the young star go. Another flip reset to beat the defender and slots it into the middle. Beautifully done from Seiko to put his team back in game 6.
Oh my goodness. Just when you need him, he always answers the call, Jorby. Seiko, he brought out the mechanics. 30 seconds left, all tied up. Endpoint, they have a chance to win it here on match point.
He's given Endpoint that fire that they just didn't have before, and he's done it again! Endpoint are going to steal Neo Tokyo away from Dignitas in 15 seconds.
Back-to-back goals for Seiko, the new pickup, and he's doing wonders on the field. Endpoint. I can't believe we're seeing an Endpoint lead right now. This is insane. Maybe even a kickoff goal. There's 12 seconds left. Dignitas, we've got to see one play, something special show up. Otherwise, it's over for him.
They need some fancy wheel work. Scrub Killer kills it on the 50. This is a chance. Joreuz kicks it hard to Jack, but Jack's got it. Over one.
Backboard.
Jack double. And one, it drops to the ground. Endpoint take down Dignitas and move to the grand finals.